And that whilst your purpose
that you've signed up to and we share together is to be your best in all you do.
And greatness can only be measured by the difference between before you showed up and after you showed up. If I look at the number of people whose lives have been transformed by your voice, that's how we measure your greatness. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my joy and my privilege to introduce to you an Amazon a true queen who has over 2 decades of professional experience that cuts across marketing, business processes reengineering, or business process reengineering, market growth strategy, reputation management, and business consulting. This incredible gift that we're about to receive from today has led various strategic and transformational projects in the financial services sector, local and international, in strategy, product marketing, electronic banking, retail, wholesale, private banking, and brand repositioning. Her financial services experience spans several institutions such as Value Card Nigeria PLC, Standard Trust Bank, which later became United Bank for Africa, and Access Bank Nigeria PLC. She launched and managed several of the Nigerian financial institutions in 8 African countries and the United Kingdom. Chizor, now you know her name, is a recipient of Marketing and Leadership Awards. She won the award for Marketing Personality of the Year in 2016 and the Africa Leadership Excellence Award in 2017. She was recently nominated by Rebrand USA as a jury board member on the Rebrand 100 Global Awards Board, the only member from Africa amongst the world's top global business leaders, business strategists, and designers. We're so proud of you. She sits on the Executive Council of the Women in Management, Business, and Public Service, which is known as WIMBIZ, a non-profit organization that has impacted over 100 women in business, management, and leadership in Nigeria. She has developed and facilitated several training courses in reputable institutions such as Lagos Business School, Financial Institutions Training Center, and the Brand Platform Academy. May I say that to the best of my knowledge, except she has changed this, she currently also serves as the Chief Executive of the Financial Institutions Training Center in FITC. She is passionate about impact, enterprise, and family. Speak for Gold family, Speak for Gold tribe. Please welcome one of the most precious gifts that I could potentially offer to be a blessing to you in this grand finale of our masterclass series, Chizor Malize. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
you, my brother, MD. Thank you. Thank you so very much.
Amazing. I know how busy you are. I know today, I know all, but you have squeezed out this time just to be a blessing to us and to share from your great wealth of insight, experience, and just your mind that is filled with possibilities. You're one of the most eloquent and articulate people that I have ever seen speak about the issues of marketing, branding, personal branding, and all of that. Indeed, you are aptly called by all the queen of branding. And so I want to welcome you once again and say, would you please introduce yourself to us? Let us know who the Chizor Malize that is not. And sometimes the only things is it Malize or Malize? You would correct me. So whichever one it is, please help me, just introduce yourself to us and let us know who it is that is our special guest tonight.
Thank you. Thank you very much, FD. Thank you. It's my pleasure to be here. And I would like to say good morning, Asia. Good afternoon, United States of America. And good evening, Europe and Africa. Because I know that FD is a global personality. His impact transcends Nigeria and Africa. And I know that his followership is huge and across the continent. And it's on this note that I welcome every single person, wherever it is in the world that you are from. And I say hello to you. And I also say thank you, FD, for making it possible for people to tap out of the whole resources of knowledge that is endowed in you and making it possible for other people to follow in your footsteps. Thank you. Thank you very much. Introduction. I wear many caps, and I'm very delighted whichever works for people because my expression points are huge and many. And I'll start with the name. My name is Chizor Malize, and the Malize is E with an accent that allows you to pronounce the E. But the truth is that I've also seen Malizes in different places in the world that I've been. I've met a Malize in South Africa, I have met a Malize in Senegal, and I have met a Malize in Philippines. And so it's also amazing that this global brand that you see here, which you know that's what I am, is actually intended to be of the world. So whatever accent makes anybody happy, I am ever ready to take it. Thank you. And now I talk about myself, and I'll start with the part of me that is very, very crucial and important to me. And I start with family. I am a wife and the mother of many children. Children that I have read biologically, and so many others that the world and the Lord has put in my care. As mentees, as people that I sponsor along the journey of their career, as people that I also coach, because I coach quite a lot of C-suite executives. And whatever cap that I wear each time, I know that the world receives the impact that God has placed me here to make. And then speaking about career, like you read around my profile, I journeyed extensively around the financial service sector, starting out from Value Card. And then I started to work on brands, building financial service brands, great brands that we all know and can relate with. And one of the most interesting part of my career journey is having to roll out some of the best of Nigerian banks across 8 African countries, Access Bank and UBA, from Gambia to Rwanda to Zambia to Congo, Cote d'Ivoire, and all of it, Ghana. So that gives me the opportunity to test a bit of our continent from the eyes of so many people. It's one of the remarkable part of my career, and I cherish that opportunity. Another high point in my career was stepping out of the entire presence of running corporations and the eyes of visionary founders across the organizations that I have mentioned to set up Brand Zone. Brand Zone was God's mandate to uplift organizations and individuals and build a bridge and a platform through which I can impact the world, corporations, and individuals. And I ran Brand Zone for 10 years, a world-class, globally inspired branding and marketing organization that I set up out of that vision to be able to do much more than work with one individual brand. So working across the African continent, I'm either in Zambia on the account of Access Bank, or I'm either in Cote d'Ivoire on the account of UBA, but I know that I can be more. And I know that I can impact much more. And I took that mandate and built Brand Zone so that I can help so many more organizations beyond one entity at a time. And the remarkable things that I did with that organization got my DNA in corporations like Nest Oil, Land Rover, BMW, all of the Coscharis Group, Qatar Airways, Eternal Oil, Falcon Corporation, Heritage Bank, one of my extremely most exciting brand, which I created and transformed as Brand Zone from what used to be Societe Generale Bank, and created all of the great things that we see today that became Heritage Bank. From all of the great identity, the look and the feel and the green, the powerful green that you see in that brand. It also came from the ingenuity that we were, or we still are at that organization. And so that was, again, great high point, having been able to implant my DNA across some of Nigeria's best institutions and across sectors. Local, international organizations, both local and international organizations. And I find that very pricing. And then of course, along the line, like you know, FD, that one of the things that run in our DNA, you and I, is nation building. And so when I had the mandate to come run FITC, a visionary organization founded by the Federal Act and also under the direct supervision of CBN, NDIC, and the Bankers Committee of Nigeria, set up systematically to ensure that there is an institution that drives and delivers strategy and knowledge solutions to the Nigerian financial service sector to ensure stability of the system. I was happy to take that. And that's where I am today as the Chief Executive Officer of FITC. It's been a journey, an interesting one, an exciting one for me, and I have at every point of this journey inspired people, taking a lot of inspiration from other people, but most importantly, living my purpose, and that's impact. Thank you.
Amazing, amazing. And you know, you really just tied up so much. I'm not sure if anybody can quickly just tell me what you got from the introduction. And I know that typically we wait till the end, you know, but I just wanted people to share for me, you know, some of the link points that we heard. Because you said things like, you know, Brand Zone became a vehicle for expressing a vision. And that itself was very powerful because it tells us that, that our vision precedes our vehicle. You know, many times people say, you know, they're looking at, you know, you start up the company and then you ask yourself, what is the vision of the company? No, it's your vision that should find expression through your company, you know, and that is such a powerful thing. And, you know, you talked about the fact that we use this to implant our DNA. So obviously understanding that you must know who you are. And I'm just going to quickly read out some of these. Dolly says she heard Brand Zone as a vehicle. Vuyelwa says global impact across regions. Mary says, I hear a global brand making an impact. Okay. Debukola says her purpose is to impact. says implanting her DNA across major brands, you know, living, and I think this was one of the biggest ones for me. Elizabeth says, living my purpose, which is to make an impact, you know. So this is something that is extremely interesting because even from yesterday, one of the things that Leke Alder shared with us was this concept of understanding that you cannot build a brand without first knowing who you are. You know, and so you've literally just put that into reality for us. And one of the things I wanted to do was you've introduced yourself. So let me just get some of the people here to introduce themselves. Can everybody please just tell us where it is so that Chizor Malize knows, you know, where we are connecting from and she can see the true. I mean, you spoke about Asia. Well, we do have somebody from Australia here, right? You know, please, so you can see Adebukola is in Toronto, and that's there in North America. You know, you can see Uwem is in Uyo, Dr. Chi is in the UK, Coach Beams is in the UK, Precious is in Abuja, Mary is in Accra, Ghana, Isoboye is in Abuja, Exceptional Kwase in Lagos, Olami Dotun in Texas. We can see Tady Benjamin in Georgia, you know, and that's not Georgia in the US, it's Georgia in the country. Okay, and you can see, who else am I seeing here? Osai in Benin City, you know, Frederick in Abuja, Shola in Burlington, Canada. You can see, and that's just some of the people that we have in here. I mean, we've got literally a global crowd here. So I really want to just just thank you for speaking to that global crowd. Now, I would love to know your journey that led you into branding. I mean, look at by the time you were going to create the expression to represent your vision, you called it Brand Zone. So branding was not an accident. It wasn't a name you just came across after you started doing marketing. My question is, can you tell us a little background into how you came across branding? Did you have an aha moment, an epiphany moment, where you realized this is my thing, and when you are done with that, maybe you can please just help us understand from the brand queen herself, what is branding? So tell us a little bit about your journey that led you there, and then tell us in your understanding what branding is.
That the journey that led me to branding is, again, I live a purposeful life and I do listen to God. At a very young age, sitting in Valucard, working in marketing department, I usually see quite a lot of my very senior directors every year just go around to conferences at summertime. And that year, I said to myself, I really do not have to be very senior to be able to go to conferences abroad. And I set a target and a goal for myself, and I said I would attend an international conference. I wasn't even middle management. I was an officer. And that year, I looked around everywhere in the world, all of the marketing conferences that were possible. And one was very interesting to me. It was supposed to hold in Bloemfontein, South Africa. Bloemfontein is one of the most beautiful cities in South Africa. And because it's not as close as Cape Town or Pretoria or Johannesburg, it's not as widely traveled by many like we know. But I just loved everything that I saw about that conference in terms of it had everything that I thought I should be learning about marketing. And then the other part of it is that because I was going to be self-sponsored, I took a look at the conferences in the UK compared to that conference. The difference in cost was huge because of the difference in the exchange rate. And I said, I'm going to South Africa. The most important thing is I'm doing an international conference. I journeyed to South Africa. And here I am, 28 years, sitting in the pool of over 2,000 people that have come from everywhere in the world. So it became actually the annual Marketing Directors Conference. Annual Marketing Directors Conference. This is an officer, remember. This is not even a manager, remember. But I registered and I showed up. And then I came to the conference. And every single person was more than I was probably half their age. But that didn't mean anything to me because I was just interested in the things that I would learn from this conference. And so, speaking at this conference was Dr. Miles Monroe as keynote speaker, an enigma that I'm sure that every one of us know one way or the other. And I was super excited, not because I know Dr. Miles Monroe. I had never heard about him before that time. I was quite young myself, but sitting in the room, I was looking at an extremely enigmatic personality, very powerful personality, and I totally engaged. I threw myself in his keynote address. I answered questions like all of his questions were for me. It was very engaging. He threw a lot of questions to the audience and I answered everything because I was excited. And then he just said, young girl, stand up. And I stood up. What's your name? I said, Chizor Malize. Where are you from? I said, Nigeria. He said, wow, Nigeria is my second country. Well, a lot of people knew him, but Chizor didn't know him. But what he said is, young lady, see me at coffee time. Please step up to me and say hello to me. And at coffee time, I stepped out and every part of the reception area had been totally transformed. with over hundreds of books with one man's face on all of them. And that's when I knew that I was in touch with a true enigma. And I realized that in that conference, he just kept talking so much about your personal profile, your personality. Your personality must fill the room. Everything he spoke about how powerful that you must be as an individual. And that struck me. And that engagement lives fresh in the whole of my memories. Because I still break, like the privileged first-class students that I was already, I walked up to him. And it was his book signing, which was the reason they had all those books laid out there. And he said to me, picked out 5 of his books, Maximizing Potentials, Understanding Your Potentials, autographed all of them. Chizor, you are a star. Chizor, you are a star. Chizor, you are a star. Handed over to me and said, you know what? I want to see you shine. That was such a powerful one for me. And so when I think about that experience, because when I came back, then I started to read about him. And then I started to read about powerful people in the world. And that drew my interest into first connecting with one of the world's most powerful people, because this is, if you remember, he is the coach of leaders. He was not just a leader. He coached 150 leaders across the world. It was not only a powerful encounter for me, it taught me the power of building a personal branding. It taught me the importance of having a whole lot of influence. And from that day, sparked something that was different in my life. And every single thing I did was building upon that to pursue excellence, to pursue quality, to pursue discipline, a lot of the things that he taught, including my upbringing, to see that I totally stand out. So I will say that it was a major point of ignition. It was an ignite moment for me, and I was clearly able to follow that path, seeking again the career path that was unique. And so, as a forerunner in the space of branding, it was in the course of creating a career path that was unique. And Brand Zone, I would say, like the name implies, was quite visionary. It is that territory, that zone, that environment where intuitively and creatively brands are shaped. And none was by accident. It was all deliberate and well orchestrated. It was following also God's mandates.
Wow, amazing, amazing, amazing. Oh, wow. So tell me something, and you can choose to either toggle which one before the other. What's the difference between marketing and branding? Seeing that you have been an established and become an authority in both, right? You've got both marketing background and you've got specialty in branding. What's the most important difference between marketing and branding? And secondly, what is a brand?
Without going to any textbook, so that all of our audience can take something great out of that expression and distinction. Branding is the powerful thing that you create and the persona that you create that a premium can be placed upon.
Ooh, I love that. Please just hold on with that. We got to do that again, slowly. I know people are trying to write that one. So if you just do it again, branding, yes, Steph?
Is the powerful thing that you create, is the persona that you create, that you can place a premium upon, which people can pay for. And so here that it's powerful thing could be a product, a persona, it could be individual, but a premium you can place on it that people would find attractive to part their money with.
Oh, wow. I love it. I love it. So what then?
We're going to talk about marketing.
Yes.
Marketing. So we don't, Marketing are the strategies that you use to gain premium for the personal thing that you've created.
Oh,
So marketing is strategy, diverse, tactical, strategic, but you simply adopt them to get value for the persona of the powerful thing that you've created. Through marketing, Coca-Cola is able to charge more than Biggie. Through marketing, I can charge $1,000 for a speaking role. Through marketing, I can let the world know all of the ways that I impact sitting in Nigeria. Through marketing, and one of the most powerful tools of today is digital, social media, don't take it for granted. Through marketing, just by some significant content that I have built around the work that I have done and the powerful tweets that I have used, I got to sit on the board of a company in New York. That's marketing.
Amazing.
So marketing can be how you choose to price, how you choose social media, what channel you want to use to sell or promote your brand, even if it's your personal brand, what sort of publicity you want to give to it. So it speaks to the product, speaks to the pricing, it speaks to your promotion, it speaks to your channel and your sales methodology. But you must create first, which is the branding.
So the brand is like the driver and the marketing is like the car.
So the
carry the brand.
Is the core and the marketing is what you use to take it there.
Yeah, amazing, amazing. And so, you know, you've just spoken up to us a little about you know, this understanding that brands can either be, you know, inanimate or personal. What do you think is by far the most important thing that transforms a person into a personal brand?
First and foremost is value. Fill yourself with value. Be the best version of anything that you do. Be the best consultant in engineering. Be the best designer. And that cannot happen until you invest in yourself significantly. Acquire knowledge. Fill yourself with knowledge so much more that the value you bring is unparalleled. Value, value, value.
Oh, wow. Amazing. You know, I know that a lot of times people talk about value and you almost feel like it's one of the buzzwords that came out of this whole COVID season, you know, because clearly people needed to, you know, a lot of the ways that people had created value somehow had, you know, out of our hands, you know, whether it was because of the global pandemic that had caused a lockdown, and lockdowns had caused, you know, shutdowns in production, that had become, you know, grinding down to economic activity. And so all of a sudden the world had to go online, and the question was, what's the value that you bring into this space? And the word value has been so flogged. What does the word value mean to you?
Value is the way that you are able to remain relevant. Value is the way that you are able to offer your space what they really require. Value is the way that you are able to deliver quality. Value is the way you are able to bring excellence to the table. Value is the way you differentiate yourself, that every single person may be, for all you care, every single person may be a doctor. But the way that you deliver your services in the way that you serve humanity is different. It's different in the sense that you are not just a doctor, you're a very knowledgeable one. You're not just a doctor, you are a humane one. You're not just a doctor, you're genuinely interested in people. You're not just a doctor, you are also impacting other doctors. You're not just a doctor, you bring knowledge to the table so that other people everywhere can share in your knowledge. You are consistently advancing narratives and people can see that you're a beacon of light. Differentiation, and that's the reason branding emphasizes differentiation. So you need to be unique. You need to be different. You need to not be the rest of the pack, but be the standout brand so that people can see truly that you are different from every engagement.
Oh my, that's amazing. You need to be different. I mean, you talked about doctors. I mean, there's a reason why specialist doctors are always paid more than general practitioners, right? And I believe that, you know, it's because sometimes people say brands have to have some form of exclusivity, whether it's in their area of focus or in the market that they serve. And that exclusivity is something that specialty does, which makes, you know, like Elder was saying yesterday, you know, it's almost done more to the no's that you say than the yes that you say. Is that if if you always say yes to everything, you are known for nothing. But the moment when you start saying, no, this is not my area, no, this is not my area, then you are beginning to build an area of exclusivity. How important is that whole zoning in on an area for expertise, and how important is that to building a personal brand?
So one of the things that we all grew up knowing is the word around jack of all trade, master of none. You can't want to be everything, but you want to be able to take a positioning that is unique to you. And that's the reason why people are always seeking to, rather than be vanilla, be different and be differentiated. Be different in the way that you don't seek to or claim to be capable of everything. We are all endowed differently. And for people to differentiate themselves and carve a niche for themselves, they must find a space they must find a space where there is opportunity. And so when you want to play in a place that is modeled already and filled up already, where differentiation is not required anymore, then you are playing in a very plain location. You want to be able to, and I'll give you an example. When I went into branding, a number of people thought that, what is that? What's that supposed to mean? I thought that advertising. I thought advertising is doing that already. But you can tell the difference between then and now, how ambassadors, how people who've gone into that territory, who took the bull by the horn and created a differentiation. It could be an audacious move. When you move into the area that is germane, you do a lot of work ahead of others. It is audacious because you are actually supposed to be like a trailblazer. But it's a better way to go because rather than play in the pool, you are distinct, you are unique. And so for all professionals, it is important to find a differentiation and excel in that. And I'll give you another example, even from outside of my own experiences. Say that you are a lawyer, and every single lawyer must go to court, and every single lawyer is looking for the same client. Do you understand that there are so many young people today who are seeking for counsel, advice, just advisory services and guidance, but have no way that they can make that happen because they feel that you must have to pay highly. Become a digital lawyer and grow skill and use technology to grow your client base. Because for every advice you are able to charge for, and each time you charge for that advice, you are able to make money out of it. So they are not really looking for a lawyer to go to court, but they are looking for advice. And there are so many of them. So take, for instance, today, very young people, so many of them are enterprise-minded. They've all set up businesses and they are looking to be able to do NDAs, non-disclosure agreements, contracts, memorandums, all of those, signing contracts that they do not have guidance. Take that responsibility of being the guide within that space. And how would you make it and be different? Just take to blogging and become an authority in that space. Just Pick blogging to differentiate yourself. Then you are connecting to the millennials and Gen Zs who don't even want human interaction. Through your blogging, you're positioning yourself. Through technology, you're engaging with them. Before you know it, others are talking about 5 clients, you're talking about 50 clients. And 50 clients can become global clients. The world has become digital. Who says that your clients must be Nigerians alone? Digital advisory is extremely important. It's possible. There are so many people who require it. And before you know it, 50 grows to 100 and 1,000, whether you like it or not, it can happen. So differentiation is good. Being premium is good. Being different is good. And you can't get ahead by being ordinary. You must be extraordinary.
Oh, wow, I love that. You can't get ahead by just being ordinary. You must be extraordinary. And that obviously that's adding the extra to the ordinary. We're going to talk a little bit about, I've always believed that there are only 2 kinds of businesses in the world, that there are struggling businesses and thriving businesses. Thriving businesses are the successful ones. Struggling businesses are the ones that literally barely survive, if they do for long. And when people ask me, Fela, what's the difference between a struggling or business and a thriving business? I say, well, struggling businesses are always pursuing the next customer, but thriving businesses have mastered the art of attracting the next customer. And when I hear you speak now, what is in my head is that to a large extent, thriving businesses have become brands. They have become the things that others are seeking after, right? Can you tell me what is the thing that brands must be and do and have to make the world search for them, especially concerning that next transaction?
I'll speak to it from the perspective of personal brand.
Yes,
knowing that the huge number of people that you have here all over the world are working to excel as individuals in their portfolio. And then they can take that and apply that to whatever it is their business is. Number 1, and take this as tips. I always encourage people to take notes that they can refer to much later. Number 1, understand that the personal there is about you. We've talked about branding, but branding, when we come to personal branding, is what people would say about you when you're not in the room. How people describe you when you're not in the room. How people would evaluate you when you're not in the room. So to be different and to be unique, you must work excellently to see that the way you are described matches your aspiration. And so vision is a starting point.
Oh.
So vision means that you must create a persona. You must create a vision of yourself. Do I want to be the world-class top-rated speaker in the world? That's a vision. Now, if you want to be the world-class top-rated speaker, and that vision is important to you, you want to be able to build your portfolio to be world-class, to be top-rated. And so that whether you are there or not, people are seeking you as world-class and as top-rated. And that's where it becomes your personality. So the question then is, what do I need to do to be world-class and the top-rated? To be world-class is relevant beyond borders. To imbibe the world-class timeless principles of quality, of excellence, of integrity. So it means that every single thing I do, I must be measured by those, both in terms of my delivery and in terms of my content and in terms of the network that I have built, because I would always draw from those networks. So personal, in personal branding, means build the vision and see that you consistently work towards that vision so that you are truly described that way. So if you are far from the way, if you are described far from the vision you've built, then you need much more work to do to be able to bridge that. Another thing that is important is to be pointed. To be pointed is to be consistent. You don't want to be world-class today, and tomorrow you're just too ordinary and local. And tomorrow, no one sees what you bring to the table. Be consistent. Be consistent. Still speaking about making it happen, be purposeful. To be purposeful is to be driven by purpose. A lot of times, people are not deliberate about defining their purpose. And so your purpose must match your vision. And through your vision, you can draw your purpose and have clarity in terms of your journey. If you are clear about your journey, you would stay in your lane and constantly move to the direction of the goal and the vision. And finally, be profitable. You must be profitable. And to be profitable means that as a personal brand, people must be ready to place a premium on you. People must be ready to bring you to the table when there are opportunities. People must be willing to call your name when they need a certain skill. You must be able to rate top five in your area of operation. Whatever it is that you do, the organization, your personal brand must rate top 5 in whatever you do. And so the question is, if I am an engineer, how do I rate top 5? If you ask that as a question, I'm happy to explain, but that leads you to being profitable. To become profitable, it means you can charge premium. It means that you can ask for anything. It means that you've demonstrated premium and people will pay for it.
Wow.
So I ended that with profitable because that's the ultimate goal. And profit is not just in naira and kobo or dollar. It's also in the respect that you command within your space. Because that's what opens doors and that's what creates opportunities that catalyze the value we're talking about.
Oh, wow, this is absolutely amazing. Guys, can you give me a word so far? Just so far, some feedback right now. One word to describe how this has been for you so far. We still got some really amazing time to share with insightful, Mary says, insight, Frederick says, you see, anybody else, wow, this is truly the meaning of a masterclass. OM says, this is eye-opening. This is illuminating, okay? Insightful, eye-opening, illuminating masterclass. All right, let me move on. And you've spoken so powerfully about being pointed, being purposeful, being profitable, and you've talked about one of the most important keys, which is consistency. And I know that consistency takes time to prove, isn't it? You can't say you're consistent simply by doing something once. Like you said, you can't be world-class today and not world-class tomorrow. If world-class requires that you start on time, for instance, that's the way that it's done. That's a standard of the world. Then you can't start today early and then tomorrow you start late. And then, because you can't build on consistency. So that tells me that consistency works over time. The question now is, since there is a time factor required in branding, building a brand, whether it's a personal brand or a product brand or a corporate brand, how quickly can a brand be built and how long can it take before a brand is established? Is it 5 years? Is it 10 years? Is it 2 years? Is it 1 year? Is it 6 months? Because a lot of people are, especially through this last, in the COVID period, a lot of people are now, in a way, transiting from one area of, their career into another. How quickly before they can actually say, yes, I am a brand? And a premium brand for that.
Question. And I love what you said about transition. And if you plot back to my story, I'm sure that you would also see that there is a lot of transition around me. I would start by talking in terms of time frame. Rather than put a time frame to it, I will put the vision to it. Be clear about where you want to be. Clearly define your vision for yourself, which means you can apply that also to your operations, to your business, to your enterprise. Clearly define where you want it to be within a time frame. I usually, from experiences around business engineering and business processes re-engineering, ask that people look at a 3 to 5 year time frame. You would agree that 5 years of plan, which used to be the case in the past, is such a long time. The reason is that things happened. Nobody anywhere in the world anticipated COVID in 2019. As of January 2020, nobody was clear about what was happening in Asia that made people drop. But when it hit, the world stopped. So plan with a time frame that is not too long, because things happen. See vision and plan around, in the next 3 years, I would like to X, Y, Z. And in driving that vision, create the building blocks and the pillars that will get you there. If you create the building block and the pillars that will get you there, then begin to tick your boxes as you move. If you plan too long, things may change so much that you would never, ever be able to achieve any.
What are some of those building blocks? Would you like to give us a little bit of an insight into some of them?
I would give an insight, and I would speak to that with a few of the things that we've done at FITC. And the reason I want to use this is because everybody who is in this program I know have an enterprise that they are running, either it's theirs personally or for others, or they even in their own personal life. As at January 2020, I was 3 months in FITC. And just after what I called my first 90 days as Chief Executive Officer, having resumed in that portfolio in October 2019, it was super clear to me what needed to be done. FITC as a heritage organization that I got into when it has just marked its 38 years was not just a heritage organization, but was at the tipping point where you needed to be able to leapfrog opportunities. And technology was ruling the world already. And I was so clear in my mind that there are 3 things that I needed to do to change the game and the story of the organization. 1 was leveraging technology to push our knowledge solution and innovative programs. So being a learning institution that offers advisory services, research services, learning programs, I knew that rather than spend 99% of our resources engaging people individual, we needed technology to achieve scale. So take our learning programs where people would normally physically come to our environment to take learning, like executive education programs. I knew it was time to make sure that technology is a driver. Another for me was reach. I felt that it was an institution that was too big to be restricted to Nigeria. And it was time for global impact. And then the third is, I felt that it was an institution that can do much more with the human minds by transforming the people internally to be able to make greater impact externally. Remember these 3. 1 was technology drive, 2 was global imprint, 3 was human minds. And I built my transformation vision around 6 pillars. And that's the reason I speak to building blocks. And my transformation vision was to work on our programs extensively so that they can become future-focused, 21st century relevant. And to be able to do that, it means that I must leverage technology to drive. The second is reach. It was important to unbundle our program because the problems and issues in Zambia is the same as Nigeria, is the same as West African countries, and all of that. I wanted to be able to create opportunities for the entire Africa. And remember also that FD, you were one of the individuals who engaged with when we launched our Pan-African project, which rolled out to 10,000 African youths. And that imprint was very important to me because, again, as a person of impact, I would rather impact the world than only Nigeria. And then, of course, the third was human minds. So building around 6 pillars, where one is our programs, 2, another P, our process, 3, another P, our platforms, 4, our people, 5, performance, 6, positioning. I created the building block for our journey. And so that by the time COVID hits, we had already thought through all of the things that we would do. And so when COVID hit and we were using our programs to reach African youths, to reach executives, to reach board members, to speak to everybody all over the world, we had recreated the organization that our programs have become so diverse, reaching the C-suites, reaching the board directors, reaching the young people who are very critical to organizations. The great thing that came out of that was that by the time people were overwhelmed by COVID, we were hitting the world with loads and loads of programs. Every single opportunity we had, leveraging technology, we started to expand our reach. Programs ran to 40 African countries, 6 continents of the world. And it's amazing how that global impact started to happen. With people, we started to recruit best-in-class individuals wherever they are to help to create our story of transformation. And so our building block were around these 6 pillars. And this, of course, are the things we said we were going to be able to do in 5 years. But I can tell you that in 2 years, we've checked all of our boxes 100% and more. And our board and directors and organizations and industry are super excited about the things that we have done in such a short time. So when we talk about time, don't make it too long. Have a vision, define your building block, go for it. You either win or you lose. But the truth is, when you are focused on success, success comes to you because you put in place every single thing that drives success. But when you are drawn down by fear of even starting, you may never get anywhere. Amazing. So we became very audacious and we did everything. And all of our building blocks and all of our strategy came to fruition. And we were happy for that.
Amazing. I mean, I just want to first and foremost congratulate you on the amazing work that you're doing, and to be able to say to you that it's been an honor to be able to in any way add value to what it is that you're doing. And this leads me to some very interesting portion of, you've leveraged the goodwill that you've built with relationships for the sake of your organization, right? So yes. Generally, if somebody thought of FITC, they were like, FITC, no, I don't want to have anything to do with it. But in a way, because you brought the brand Chizor Malize literally out there, and you leveraged that brand to reach out to people who normally would have said no to FITC, but they wouldn't say no to Chizor. So I want to know, in a way, how important is goodwill in building a premium brand, and how do you go about acquiring that goodwill so that you can leverage it in building a premium brand? Okay.
I'm glad you talk about goodwill, because I always say to people, do not stop to give of yourself. Blessings come from giving of yourself. Give of your resources. Give of all that you have to processes, to projects, to programs, to other people. And the greatest thing that has happened along the line of my career is having built a lot of goodwill. And just like you, FD, I freely give of myself, I give of my time. I'm very passionate about impact. I am always supportive of people, and I'm always looking for the way to handhold others to rise up. I am passionate about women and holding the ladders for people to come up. Women, young people, youth leaders everywhere. And I say to people that every single person that you've held a ladder for would never forgive you, because they got up there through the ladder that you held for them. And so each time you invest in people, either through making and helping their dreams come true, or guiding them, or using the resources that God has given to you, because he has not given them to you to hide away or to stay away, but to use upon the earth, you build goodwill. So over the course of my career, I have freely given of myself to quite a lot of people. And so it's very easy for me to say, bring all of this goodwill into FITC, because I see that, again, as God's mandate, another way of fulfilling purpose. I was not sent there for nothing. I was sent to that organization at a point the organization needed someone to lead it into a digital age, to lead it into a technology-driven age, to lead it into an innovation-driven time. And I would definitely be able to bring all of my resources that are around me to be able to make that impact happen. And so because I have built and invested in people along the line of my career, I can also bring that as equity to the table. So the reason I use the word equity is because I would like that your audience understand what equity in terms of branding means. Equity is value. You talk about the equity that you hold, it means that even if you do not have cash as resources, your name goes ahead of you. The equity of that name alone is so powerful that people can do anything for you. And that can be converted into currency, because along the line, it is what you carry into new portfolio, new projects, new mandates, new challenges. And so I have taken all of the great equity that I have built as Chizor Malize, as founder of Brand Zone, as branding queen, as innovative and world-class great mind. I've leveraged on all of that equity to bring again all the goodwill and all of the resources everywhere they are into my recent mandate. And that worked phenomenal. So I was able to attract people ordinarily the organization could not even have been able to. If I'm looking to run a board leadership, I'm asking myself, who is the best player in that space? I'm looking for Ebuku Awoshika. I am looking for Dan Agbo. I'm looking for Agdumogobia. I'm looking for Bola Adeshola. I'm looking for reputable names who along the line of my career have worked collaboratively in their own platform, in their own vision, and I bring them into what I'm doing, and people see quality. Goodwill is great. It gives you greater equity, and you bring such equity to achieving your mandates.
Oh, amazing, amazing. You know, I every time you finish saying, I almost want to just clap. I don't know if anybody else feels that way. It's like every question, and when you land, I just want to applaud, you know, but you know, someone would say, Chizor, it's easy. You're CEO of FITC, you're CEO of Brand Zone. It's easy for you to build equity, put your personal brand to work for the organization, make things happen. What about when you have such a powerful personal brand that potentially can become limited by an intimidated boss or manager who is looking at you and saying, oh, even though your brand is working for the organization, could there come a point when your brand can literally become a hindrance, a personal brand, to your career progression. And what do you do in an instance where, you know, someone who, and we know that occasionally, you know, we've seen situations where, I'm struggling not to go in this particular place to land it here, but we've seen a situation where a recent chairperson of a bank was such a strong personal brand and literally elevated a huge institution and got people to begin to relate with that bank differently. And somehow or the other, that person paid a very significant price because to some dimension, some people thought that there were members of the board who were beginning to feel threatened, and how, in a way, she brought her band and everybody started calling her name along with the bank. I think that by now people have an idea what I'm talking about. But my point is, can it ever come to a point where even when you use your brand for the benefit of the organization, your brand, you know, some people who feel threatened can begin to feel like, you know, well, how do we get you out? And what do you suggest and advise when that kind of conflict is beginning to happen, when your personal brand working for the corporate organization begins to create a conflict within the organization itself?
I would always say to people, plot your personal life trajectory and take control of it.
Wow.
And I would give an example with myself. After I had journeyed through career, I got to a point when I knew very clearly that to be able to meet the mandate and all of the things that I carry inside of me, I needed to step out of corporate world and only for one entity to spread my influence to much more. So at the turn of 39, I always listen to God and I always ask, what next do you want me to do? I listen and I action it. I don't just listen. And it was obvious to me that I needed to step out of the organization where I was working, no matter how relevant I was, and no matter how great I was doing. I was global head of marketing, managing the entire brand, Nigeria, 8 African countries, and the United Kingdom. But I knew that was mono. And influence was mono. And I knew when to step out and listen. And that was when I said to myself, by the time I am 40, I'm definitely going to spread my influence beyond today. And I did not wait to begin to doubt if that was possible, or even I started to plan Brand Zone. And the first thing that I did was to pick out the name. And the second thing that I did was to pick out the color. So it's not coincidence when people see me and they say, I knew you would turn up in red. Red is strength for me. Red is energy. Red is vitality. Red is boldness. Red is leadership. And I did not only make all of these choices, chose the name, chose the color, and did one of the most significant brand, which is Whisker today, for my dear big sister, Amina Oyebola. That was my first attempt at creating a brand as an individual to help another organization. So I knew at what point to leave, no matter how great that environment seemed. And everybody thought, why would you leave a big banking job to start out something on your own? But I started from nothing and grew something. So the point there is to listen and know when to even exit, to use your platform to build something greater. Because every single one of us is endowed in ways much more than what we are doing today.
Oh, I love that.
That's why my personal payoff is be more. More, be more. Wherever you are today, whatever you are doing today, whatever the conflict you are facing, know that you can be more. Simply know when to step out, simply know when to build, simply know when to blow it up, simply know when to take the world. Wow. And so you can walk out of anything that is not working for you, that does not align to your personality, that is bringing conflict to your personality, but build something that is even bigger than where you are today, anytime it's not working anymore. And I'm super delighted that I did that, because I did not just build and create that, I influenced and impacted several organizations today. And I sit back, the local and international organizations that I'm so delighted that my DNA is sitting inside of them. I could do more. So walk out of conflicts when it's not working, be more, do more, be more.
Oh, amazing, amazing, amazing. Again, I just feel like just cheering you on that. So, you know, the next thing that I wanted us to talk about is this sometimes what I think of as a conflict between authenticity and relevance. And I've had to deal with that sometimes, where you feel like your mission, your vision, the mandates that you have received may not necessarily sound like what the market needs right now. And you're looking at the needs of the market and say, well, I can do that. But in your heart, you know that that's different from what you are called to do. Or sometimes you feel like your assignment is to a kind of people, a particular class of people and a demographic that may not necessarily be the highest income earners. And yet you do have the capacity to be able to engage those high income, high net worth, but you are struggling between remaining authentic to your call and remaining relevant to the marketplace. Can you speak to us a little bit about how to find that balance between what you believe in your heart you're called to do and what you have the capacity to do to meet the needs of the market?
I always say to people, stay in your lane. Do not be driven by just where the market wants you to be. Stay in your position of strength, stay in your position of, because you can create a lot of opportunity through your position of strength. So authenticity for me is understanding who you are, understanding your purpose. I will always speak around purpose. Understanding your calling and your mandate, and build up your strengths, skills, and knowledge to be able to deliver that. Sometimes we're driven by where we find opportunity. Keep those opportunities around your space of strength, because you can always find more opportunities around your place of strength. Now, within your place of strength, you can create new opportunities and new segments. And I'll take us back to the lawyer story that I spoke about. Every great lawyer wants to have more briefs, wants to have additional brief. You are a lawyer already, but you can create new markets from that by taking on technology and creating innovative engagements around technology, by positioning yourself. And I do not say this because everybody is a lawyer, but I'm saying this because we can apply that to whatever it is that we do. So think about the lawyer who is waiting to be able to find other opportunity outside of law to make money, while within his place of authenticity, his place of strength, he can even grow new opportunities by finding new markets, by finding new segments, by finding new ways to deliver. And so in reaching out to new people, putting yourself up there, driving visibility, finding speaking roles, partnering with Nigerian Bar Association to become more visible and become more eloquent and become more impactful in your space, you are definitely going to be building a lot of equity that you can use again to maximize the opportunities in your areas of strength. And every opportunity that you find, see that it is something that you can convert into value using your area of strength. And that's not to say don't do anything outside of law, but work around the things that you are able to do so that you can deliver. When you dabble into the things you are not capable of and you continue to fail, it becomes eroding to the personal brand that you have built. So I would always find greater opportunities in the areas where I have capacity. So bringing it back again to my personal experiences, I worked a minimum of 12 years in the financial service sector, and all of that leading organizations and marketing. I moved out to form enterprise, totally different from working as an employee. But I leveraged all of the experiences that I have around marketing to build a platform around marketing, differentiating through branding. And like you know already, even as the branding queen, I did a lot of people development. So when I got into FITC, I brought all of that to bear in recreating the way that the organization has hitherto engaged with learning and knowledge solution. So when you plot all of that graph, you can see that there is a similarity, even though each of it are distinct and differentiated. From an employee to an enterprise builder, and today running an organization that is founded by government to equip economies and financial service system. So anyhow that you look at it, the DNA that runs across all of those are my strengths and capabilities, which I always bring to bear.
Wow, amazing.
That's authentic and still very relevant because both are important. Oh, wow. So remain authentic and remain relevant by bringing and recreating the stories using your place of strength.
Amazing, amazing. You know, it's been said that brands, that one thing that you always realize about branding or brands is that you have a brand when people know you, when people like you, when people trust you, and when people choose you, you know, rather than choose others. In a way, that's a strong brand. High net worth individuals and corporate organizations many times pay a premium for certain people to deliver a service that may or may not necessarily be much more differentiated. Not that they don't know that somebody else can deliver something for less, but because they know you, like you, trust you, they still decide to invest with you. Can you tell us the most important things that drive the choice of, I mean, why should I pay more for this one person when I know that there can be others that will do something less? I mean, that will do pretty much about the same thing. And before I run you into this particular one, I'll give you a very practical, true story. I remember that there was once that I was,
Don't mind my blinded video. I can hear you very well. I'm here.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
I once, ran a training, or was running a training for Diamond Bank. And I remember that at one point in time, the training manager of Diamond Bank had literally called me in and he said to me, Fela, what do you do? What are you doing? How are you doing this? And this was several years ago. And I said, what do you mean? He said, listen, I want to show you something. And he took me to his office and showed me some ledger or a file. And on that file, it had literally what every one of the people who were running the induction training that we were running for them at that time, all the different consultants that were there, and he showed how much each one of them was being paid. And my fees were the highest fees. And the next person, the organization to mine, was a globally respected organization, a global institution. If I mention the name, everybody knows them. But they were being paid just a little bit above half of what I was being paid. And yet I'd been doing business with these guys and been earning that. And I didn't even know that I was the highest paid organization in that particular, for that program. And the guy said to me, I don't understand. Why, what have you done that has caused this thing? And I just wanted to get your insight as to what makes people literally pursue you to pay you more when they can get alternatives for less.
Quality. Quality. And quality. Every single person wants to get quality out of every process. And the passion that we bring to our mandate, the diligence that we bring to our mandate, the excellence that we bring to our mandate drives the quality that is manifested through our process, either in the content or the delivery or the packaging. And when people see that you do bring quality to the table, they would always bring you back to the table. And they would always pay premium for your quality. Every person who gives you a mandate or a project or a contract or an engagement would call you back again if there is quality. Forget that some people below may work against that for other interests. But you can be rest assured that whoever it is that is paying, that is parting, that is taking a decision would always want the best. So what I advise people is see that your discussion and engagement are at the highest level of influence.
Wow.
The chief executive officer who is looking for quality would always know quality when he sees one. Will always want to pay premium for quality when he sees one. So that if your chain does not get, in terms of your chain of impact, does not get to the top, the CEO's level, work it up to get on there. So that you don't leave the decision to the people who may have other agendas. Quality would always bring you and keep you in the room.
Wow, amazing. You know, this thing, and I'm going to now begin to invite questions in at this moment, you know, so if you have a question, if you were willing to put on your video, we'll be very happy to if you just raise your hand as one of the, you know, we would see once your hand is raised, if you're willing to put on your video, you can ask it live, and if not, you can send Damilola the question. If you don't want to put on your video and you just like to be able to send the question, please do. Damilola would ask the questions that have come as they do come. So if you want to ask the question personally, please put on, you know, raise your hand, and then you have to be willing to put on your video. All right. This thing you talked about quality, you know, I must confess, the guy himself, all right, a very good friend of mine, he later called me. I mean, that same moment he told me, he said, you know, let me tell you what it is that you do. So he asked me, what do you think you do? And then he said, let me tell you something. And he brought out a pile of assessments, feedback assessment forms after every program is done. And he showed me something that was very, very strange. They listed all the facilitators, and they had 1 to 5, 5 obviously being the highest in what it is that was. And so they would have the facility, every participant rate the facilitators between 1 and 5. He showed me something. He said, do you notice what's this? And I didn't see it for a moment. And I later noticed that people were creating 2 boxes extra to 5. So the form was printed 1 to 5. And when they would say VIP consulting, the people will go to, and you under the side, create a box 6 and create a box 7 and tick 7. And the guy was showing that you are the only person we are seeing getting 7/5.
Extra.
Right? And that tells me, that thing that you started off with at the beginning about the extraordinary.
Yes.
And one of the things we talk about in Speak for Gold a lot, especially for those who have been here, is do more than you could ever be paid for. Yes. Before you get paid for more than you have done before. And so it's extremely important. I see Roberta, are you, Robbie? Do I see your hand up? Would you be happy to? So I mean, I just wanted to let you know that this is one of the most interesting things that I had seen. It's a practical example of what it is that you've shared, right? Be the best and then be better. Give your best and then do more. Just when you think that you've gotten to the limit, you break your own ceilings and innovate, do what it is that you can do better. Robbie, the floor is yours. Can you please unmute if you can?
Yes, I have unmuted. Thank you so much for sharing your story. So I'm going straight to my question. I'm just curious to learn a bit more about some of the challenges that you may have faced, trying to drive this large scale organizational transformation, especially the resistance you also may have faced from people and how you sort of navigated that.
Thank you so much, Robbie.
Thank you very much, Roberta. And I must also very well commend Roberta, right? Commend Roberta for coming up and sharing and being part of the discussion. I especially commend her for one reason. The world of virtual sometimes keeps people comfortable in being behind the scene, masking their videos and putting mute and just remain faceless. So it takes a brave person, it takes a consistent person, it takes a brand conscious person to step out and ask their questions live. Sometimes some will say, I'd like to ask the question, but because they don't want to do the video, they just don't want to show their faces. And that's how to be a remarkable brand. So kudos to you, Roberta. I must mention that. Yes. I'm always very happy to speak about the kind of challenges that we faced. And I would say that the biggest challenge that we faced was that of the human minds. So a lot of times people are cast and comfortable in the way that they do things. So the first and the major resistance were the people who thought that, hey, we've done this organization 20 years, 18 years, 14 years. This is not how we do it. Well, coming from the outside, it was easy to tell where the world was. Much more than where we are, just because we are comfortable being there. And so not everyone goes with you on a journey of transformation. First, people don't see where you're going. Second, transformation keeps you uncomfortable because you do much more. Third, you need to be able to take people along. So the way that we worked around those challenges was to consistently communicate to people about the new direction and where we're going with this organization. In the interest of the organization, in the interest of the industry we serve, because we really needed to be relevant. And to be relevant means you're re-engineering. And when you are re-engineering, you're doing ×3 what you ordinarily would do. And when you are moving to reaching 100 people in 1 month to 1,000 people in just one program, it's painful. And so the pain comes from walking into the night sometimes. The pain comes from doing much more research, because I come from a place of research inside cutting edge. And the place, it comes with quality. And to deliver quality, there must be pain. And so one story that I always tell, and that got a lot of people is that gold, as precious as it is, goes through torture, burning furnace to be able to bring out the purities. But when you are done with all of the fire, when you are done coming out of the furnace, what comes out is super valuable. And making it obvious and open in terms of where we are going, the fact that we understand it takes some pinpoints, and the fact that we understand the destination is in the interest of the organization remaining relevant, but more importantly, bringing solutions to the marketplace that will truly impact. Greater number of people started to see that this direction is in the interest of many. And those who were not able to move, I can tell you, dropped off. And as they panicked and flee, they panicked and flee. And then those who remain walks through the journey. Today, like FD rightly said, I've been in a minimum of 5 meetings before this. And out of those 5 meetings, I had different sessions from 9 o'clock to 5 o'clock in the organization with different tribes that we have created. We have the community that we call the dynamites. Our dynamites are very young millennials and Gen Zs. They keep us on our toes. But what we did was to bring them to the table and make them understand how important that they are. They're super excited to sit with the CEO to create things, to come out with new things. Our dynamites created a lot of the programs that are making impact in Africa. I also had another long session with our catalysts. Our catalysts, we call them our innovation hubs. They are our innovators creating great things around our processes, technology, platforms, and all of those. But we make them feel very important by understanding that that tribe is unique in building our tomorrow. I also had an engaging session with our game changers. Our game changers are our middle management. We call them the pillars of the organization. Through them, we work collaboratively to create new solutions, new segments, new markets, consistently developing something new for the marketplace. So this community of different tribes have been able to demonstrate and see themselves within different communities, changing all the time that story. So the apathy initially, when it felt like a lot of work, has bettered an organization that where people can thrive, where people see the relevance they bring to the table, where people are excited to be part of the moving train, where people are excited to be part of transformation, where people are so excited that within each tribe where they are, they thrive and they're adding value. So some of the ways that we were able to.
Amazing, amazing. Let me take a couple more of the live sessions. We do have a couple of questions that have been sent in, but I see a couple of hands that I want to quickly run through. Exceptional Ekwase will go first, and then Frederick will go next, and then I would pass on to Dami, and she would ask a few of the questions as we have. All right, Exceptional Ekwase.
Thank you, FD. Magnificent Malize. Well done, good evening. My name is Exceptional Ekwase. My question is, in your journey so far, you must have failed many times. How did you manage failure?
Powerful question. Thank you so much, Exceptional.
Exceptional Ekwase. I'm extremely enthralled by your name. The double E is not by coincidence. The choice of exceptional means you're already ahead of your pack. And I love the fact that you've created distinction already. So it's not all the Ekwases, it's the exceptional one. Exceptional in your space, in your industry, in your career, in all of the things that you do. I totally love that. I do totally love that. Failure. I was speaking to someone yesterday about the fact that I've always said I'm not afraid of failure. I'm not afraid of anything. I'm not afraid of anything that I step into. I never think about failure when I take any role or I take any mandate. I may also have made some decisions that do not result into the things that I think that it should, but I never dwell on it. I only just ask myself, what next? So when I think about the ways that failure is not something that is in my, it's not something I think about. I simply think about every new project, every new task. How should I address it? And when I take decisions that are wrong, I undo it. And I'll give you an example. And that may also answer your question, EE. Along the line of the transformative thing that we have done, we felt at some point that we needed leadership in an area where there was a gap. So having lost some traditional people who were not able to take the mantle and challenges that came with the new transformation, we needed to fill some roles. And so there was pressure from, let's do this immediately. We need this portfolio requires leadership. This portfolio requires people to feel it and all of that. Sometimes as a leader, you want to take your time to find the right people. But sometimes the pressure means you're not sure if this person is the right person, but I think I can bet on that. And then I gave in to that pressure. The pressure from the team who feel that there is a need to fill that gap. The pressure from human capital manager who feels that, oh, this is the right person. And the pressure from the marketplace because you also need people to do everything. And I can tell you, in 3 months, I knew that decision was a wrong decision. I knew we had gotten someone who could not inspire leadership, could not meet his performance target, could not even lead his people, but actually brought so much storm within the dynamics because he polarized the entire team. So it was more about making Frederick think that he's friend so that Dolly would be wanting to be his friend and Damilola is wanting to. So goals were not what is important to him. He simply wanted to be everybody's friend and he's not decisive and along the line. It took me 3 months to decide, you know what? We have to do something about this resource. And recognizing also, because I'm a stickler for process, any day, anytime. Recognizing also that it's important to ensure that people are clear about the goals that you set for them. We set to having clear discussions about, Guy, this is your goal even as we brought you into this organization. As a senior person, you must be able to tick box A, B, C, D, E, F. We reenacted all of the 6 goals and set a clear target that in another 3 months, these are what we'll be measuring you against. It's not about how much fame you achieve within the dynamics. It's not about how much laughter, but it's about the degree to which you accomplish these 6. That was to be able to set the tone that we are serious around here. And by the end of 5 months, he didn't need anybody to tell him we were serious about these goals. And of course, it was time to go. And we parted ways like friends. But I made that decision that I wouldn't let the mistake and pressure of taking a decision to bring in somebody who you were not sure fits the bill. I am always, always ready to rewrite the story that is not right. And we use that process of metrics and measurement and performance to show him that you're not where you ought to be. And gracefully, he understood that. And he apologized for the fact that he totally recognized that he has failed himself. He thought he could pull it, but he knew he couldn't pull it, and took a bow. So what I am trying to drop there is that leaders must be very decisive. Leaders should walk with their minds, with their heads, not just their heart. be goal-focused and not emotionally torn. So we're able to take that decision, that decision in the past was wrong, but we need to set things right. And it will amaze you that in 3 months, every single thing that we lost as a result of his stormy approach to leadership got normalized. And we rewarded the person who rectified it, who was still in the team, by elevating her to that role that we thought she couldn't fill. So we took back the thoughts that we had and elevated the individual who was able to bring sanity and orderliness to the portfolio. Yeah.
Amazing. Amazing. Well, so just before I have Damilola read out a few more questions, let me quickly see if Frederick has a question, and he's going to do it live. Frederick?
Yes. Thank you, FD. Thank you, ma'am. It's been insightful. Thank you so very much. I have 2 questions, and I hope you'll be able to take both of them. The first one is, when you were sharing tips on personal branding, the first tip you shared, it says that understand that the personal there is about you.
Yes.
And then what people would say when you are not in the room is important. So the question here is, how do you leverage what people say? If, let's say you get to know what, particularly in the case where what people are saying is positive, how do you leverage that? That's my number one question. And I remember you shared that when what people are saying is not right, you need to fix it. So, but when what people are saying is right, how do you leverage that? The second question is around quality. When you were responding to the question that was asked earlier on, there was something that you said that spoke into my question, and you said to deliver quality, there must be pain. That actually stood out very strongly. But again, how have you been defining quality in relating with your client? How did you know what to give to them that is, beyond the ordinary and what others are offering?
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. These two are very important things. And I'm very excited that you asked the second, and I'll speak to that very gladly. The first is the personal in that tip. Remember that you are deliberate and intentional about what people are saying. You have built a vision about your personal brand, and you've created a story about that persona. And so what people are saying aligns to your story. So when they are saying what aligns to your story, reinforce that. Hold on to it. Do it more. Do not leave that. That's why I say stay in your lane. So if people are saying that Frederick delivers quality, do much more to deliver much more quality, because that's very important. Now, it takes us naturally to the second question. To deliver quality, you must go beyond the ordinary to deliver the perceived impossible in the quest for excellence, and that's the manifestation of quality. And take that again. You are going beyond the ordinary to deliver quality above expectation in the quest for excellence, and what comes out of it naturally is quality. So that's where the pain in quote comes in, because it will make you do more. It will make you go more. It will make you go further. And so that extra 1 hour that you pull out to have a personal moment of seeking knowledge, feeling yourself, understanding what people need, understanding what your clients need, understanding what your supervisor needs, understanding what's valuable to the market you serve or the people you serve or the people you lead, whatever it is that you're doing. That extra mile is what gives quality. One thing that I love to do greatly, 2 things: sporting, outside of all of this cerebral work. So I cycle and I swim, and I used to run a lot. And I can tell you that it is at the time that I work with my personal trainer Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, that it's at that 45 minutes when you think you are tired, that the additional work that you put in actually gets you closer to your goal. So I cycle. And when I say I'm going to cycle 60 kilometers today, and then the club says it's 70 kilometers, that additional 10 kilometers does a lot to me. It develops my mind. It builds my capacity. It disciplines me to know that never give up. And even when I've put my mind to 60 kilometers, the extra 10 kilometers means, wow, I could do that. So you see how, therefore, that extra mile is the top for quality. So that extra mile can be painful, but the manifestation is quality. The extra hour that you put trying to put together the reports to your clients, rather than make it shabby without review, without authenticating it, without proofreading, without even verifying if it is the truth, that extra mile keeps it spunky and brings quality. Again, I always say to people, go beyond the ordinary to deliver the perceived impossible in your quest for excellence and to manifest in quality.
Amazing. Amazing. So let me invite Damilola. I'm sure Damilola is starstruck. I can see how she does. You know, Dami.
I am starstruck.
Oh, wow. Amazing. Please go ahead, Dami. And just, you know, and Chizor, just to mention to you that Dami is really Dami is truly a star in our, I mean, all our guys are amazing, all of them, and in every way. And
I feel the energy.
Rami brings an incredible vibe. I think that's the word we have found. She has become the chief vibe officer for the Gemstone Group, you know, so she's like, she brings such beautiful vibe to our team. Please. So Dami, go ahead.
Thank you very much, FD. I have a question from Mary Bennett. She says, how do you work your way up to the decision maker at the level of influence?
So Dami, you may need to ask that question again because somehow
yes, because I didn't hear anything.
So you're going to have to say that again, and please project your voice a little louder.
Okay. How do you work your way up to the decision maker at the highest level of influence?
Okay. How do you work your way up to the decision maker at the highest level of influence?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'll take that. And when I worked in consulting, I find out that a lot of times when you work in consulting, the people who invite you may probably not be the chief executive officer, right? I always try to see that my work gets to that room. I don't stop the work with whoever has invited me, whether it is HR, whether it's marketing, whether it's operations. Sometimes people just deliver that and end it there. I try to see that the decision makers feel my influence. I try to see that my report gets to them. I try to see that even before I start a project, that I get them in the room. And I'll tell you one of the ways that I have done that successfully. And I share this for anybody that will find it valuable. In what I do, I always insist that we have a key personality engagement. Key personality engagement. So I call it KPE. So the key personality engagement heralds my project kickoff. And so it is at that time that I outline, because it's at my wills and caprices, to outline what is important to the project. So I work that in as my kickoff and systematically see that using that as an opportunity, your key personalities and the organization can never exclude a CEO, would it? Automatically, it involves all of the C-suites. So starting from that area, I make the connection, I make my impact at the highest level, I make them interested in what solution I'm coming to offer, and I keep them in the room. And that's a strategy anyone can adapt.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Dami, you have another question? And
Yes,
I'm going to be wrapping up. So maybe we can have 2 more questions, and because I need to let Chizor Malize go have some rest.
Yes, sir. I have one more question from Elizabeth Grace. She says, in building your personal brand, how can you make it visible, and how best to handle criticism and competition?
I love the question around visibility. There is no personal brand without visibility. And so the best way to build visibility is start again from what I said, bring value to the table. Enrich yourself that you are so powerful, knowledgeable, and a force to reckon with in what you do. Having done that, have voice. Have voice in the way that you are always recognized as a key player in what you do. So if you're in marketing, have voice. If you're a public relations expert, have voice. If you're a doctor, have voice. How can you have voice? Create platforms for expression. Today's reality, some people will tell you, oh, I'm in all the digital platforms and social media platforms. Then I ask them, have you tweeted anything today? 0, nothing. And the platform is just for having a platform. So they've got an address, but there is no content. And some are more easily drawn to the ones that are easy, like throw that out into Facebook. After all, it's just a photo. But they don't want to go near LinkedIn because it requires cerebral thinking and communication and engagement. So diversify the platforms through which you engage. The photographs and images are great on Facebook, but have voice through your expertise. Speak to the things that you do on Instagram, on LinkedIn, professionally. If I pick up my device and start to look for you, who do I see? What sort of digital presence have you built? Create content and put them out there. So when people go to say who you are, they should find something to read about you. So use platforms because they are far-reaching. Visibility is important. Build a network that works. Besides my professional network, one of the biggest networks that I've been a part of is WIMBIZ. We recently celebrated 20 years of impacting. The WIMBIZ network is a network of professional women from management, business, politics, everything. We're bringing together people of like minds. In building that network, I'm making myself a part of a winning network. I spread my tentacles. So you're not only creating content, you're placing content on areas that keeps you visible, which are the digital platforms. And then you're building a network of great people of like minds so that you are also able to sharpen other irons, being an iron yourself. And in creating and being a part of a network, you're able to spread your story the more. So I think that that can be another topic, but these 3 will get you far.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you, Chizor. I am sure that people just want to show some love right now, and you know, just give you a little bit of feedback, and then you can just, you know, give us a final word as you close out for the night. One word that describes your experience so far, guys. One word. Dami, you want to read out some of this? One word, one statement, one phrase that describes your experience so far. Then we'll just take a look. So let's give feedback, right?
OM says, wow. Isoboye says, this is so sweet. Precious Aigbe says, thank you so much value. Precious Aigbe also says, enlightening. Exceptional Ekwasi says, deep. Dolly Ohanyere says, thank you so much. Chigozile Chuku says, intelligence. Teji says, amazing. Frederick says mind shift. OM says captivating. Dolly says value. Mary Bennett says exceptional value 10 times.
Exceptional value 10 times. I know we may not be able to go through everyone, but this is basically what I wanted you to see. That, you know, I had 7 over, they created 2 more boxes, 1 to 5, and then they created 2 more boxes, 7 over 10. 10 times means that they have now created 49 more boxes or 45 more boxes. And they're saying this is 50 over 10. And I really want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. Before you go, just so that you hear what people heard, can people just, everyone, please just put out what is the most important thing that you heard? And Dami, you may not be able to read out the name of the person who said it, just read out as fast as you can what people are, the lessons as they got it. So please put out the most important lessons you're taking away. You know that we're still going to do this at least once more just to get you, so what did you hear? I can see here, value is your best currency. Quality. What else? Dami, are you there? Be more, do more. Start with a vision. When you are focused on success, success comes to you. Okay? Key KPE, the key personality engagement is critical. You must go beyond the ordinary to deliver the perceived impossible in the quest for excellence. Gold comes through burning furnace, and at the end, it becomes valuable. Be visible, never dwell on failures, think what next. To deliver quality, there must be pain. Step up, keep moving on what you're known for. We are endowed to be more than what we are presently doing. Value, be the best version of yourself. Goodwill, equity, oh my God, it's coming fast and furious now. Leaders must work with their heads and minds, not just their hearts. Find a differentiation, define your purpose. You can always find opportunities within your place of strength, and if not, create new ones, right? Work your intentions without fear. Keep your mandate around your strengths. Carve a niche for yourself. Stay in your lane, the 6 Ps. You can get ahead by being, you can't get ahead by being ordinary. You got to be extraordinary. Listen, it's just so much, and we wouldn't, we will keep chewing. I can't recall. I mean, look, I've got an entire mind map here that I'm going to go and really unpack and put it together. There's so much value that you created tonight in such a short space of time. And really what I just wanted you to close out with is that one thing that you would like us to remember almost above everything else when it comes to positioning as a premium brand that is desired by high net worth individuals and corporate organizations. As you close tonight, can you just tell us that one thing that you would like to close out with?
As I leave us this night, I'd like us to have a map that dots vision, purpose, and impact. Vision in terms of create a vision around who you are, who you want to be, where you want to go, what journey you want to undertake, and where you want to get to. Purpose, tie it to something that is meaningful. Tie it to a meaningful thing that you are also able to deliver on. Ensure that you are able to find your purpose. It helps you to be authentic. It helps you to be consistent. It helps you to be focused. And lastly is impact. In whatever that you do, think impact. Think about impacting your environment, your organization, the people around you, your nation, and the world. I always say to people, I do not leave anybody, anything, anywhere like I met them. I bring transformation as a catalyst, and I change the dynamics for good. Impact is very key. So vision aligned to purpose, and purpose that truly delivers impact. When you dot these 3, it will lead you closer to your journey.
Oh my, amazing. Amazing, incredible, insightful, all of the most beautiful words to go with the beautiful personality and the incredible value that you've created tonight. I am so, so grateful for who you are, for what you've done tonight, and the mark that you've left in the heart. And for as many people as would love to connect with you hereafter, and I'm encouraging everybody to just literally go to your, whatever that contact is, and just go connect with you. How would you like us to be able to connect with you hereafter?
I'm everywhere online. I tell people that the first place to find me is online. But I'll tell you this short story while you look for me online. And I think that it should help everyone else. So about a year ago, I had what I would call an accidental loss of my collateral on the social media. So today, if you want to find me, you would find me as Chizor Malize on LinkedIn. But everything that is connected to Facebook was collapsed to ground zero. And so you would find me as my other moniker, Chizor Forbes. Because as a Forbes woman, the only other natural identity to take is to bring my Forbes to life. Prior to now, after 10 years of building fantastic heritage across social media, across platforms, as at Chizor Malize around all of them. At Chizor Malize is important to me because that's a brand on its own. And there is no other Chizor Malize anywhere in the world. But even as I lost that, look for me as Chizor Forbes or Chizor Malize, and you would find me. And I would like to say, kindly connect with me. Twitter at Chizor Malize, if you still have access to Twitter, based on our precarious conditions and situations with Twitter in the country. At Chizor Malize on LinkedIn, that's universal, it always remains. And on a platform that is social media around either Facebook or Instagram at Chizor Forbes. And I would love to connect with all of you because this woman, the branding queen, loves to connect with people. And I look forward to connecting with everyone on those platforms.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Come on, guys. I'm sure that you want to, can we blow kisses? Spread, you know, whatever thing you want to do, you know, I wish I could jump into that room and just give you a big, amazing hug right now. Thank you, Chizor. You have touched our heads, our minds, and our hearts tonight in ways that we will never forget. It's a permanent impact. You've elevated us. You've impacted us. You've challenged us, and you've literally guided us on the path of excellence, and the quest for excellence, and to believe that we can do more, be more, and especially break any boundaries that seem like impossibilities on our path and our journey. You've challenged us to rise beyond any concept of failure and just say, what next? How do we move forward? You've challenged us to be able to build not just a brand, a persona, but to build something that people are willing to pay a premium for. You've taught us not only the what, the why, you've taught us the how. And for this, we will forever truly be grateful. This is truly an exceptional class. You're an exceptional personality. We're grateful to have you. Once again, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. And thank you, everyone, wherever in the world that you've connected from. It's truly exciting to also be able to impact. Thank you, FG, for the wonderful work that you do. We admire you. We admire your strength, your dexterity, your capacity. We admire the impact that you've made globally, and we look to doing much more with you. We're always there for you. Thank you.